One, I'm not sure if we are better than before. Hopefully so. Hopefully we are all coming back together on our various channels. I've done some switching things around here with the internet connection, so hopefully we are doing okay. And please let me know. It would be great if I could get a comment or two. I see folks are jumping back. So thank you for coming back. Hopefully we are okay. Tell me if you can see things clearly or if again it is a little bit more blurry, less blurry, still blurry. I see Ziamara is here. Hi, Kathy. Avril says it's still a little blurry. I'm not sure what to do about this. Susan says she's not seeing the live. Okay. Looks more clear. Okay, here I am, Susan. I promise I'm here. Miriam is saying it is also blurry. Okay, gosh. Okay. Roxanne, what are you seeing? Are you seeing that it is still blurry? Lisette says still blurry, slightly better, still not sharp. Okay, I certainly don't want everyone feeling like they're at the eye doctor or something. Okay, Roxanne, what do you think? And okay, people people are saying it's blurry, but you're okay with it. Hopefully, it is not going to be too bad. So what I'm going to do is keep on going. Slightly better than okay. All right, it's slightly better. So we're going to go with slightly better if that's okay. And what I'm going to try and do is not move too quickly. I'm not sure what I can do on this end. I've re-plugged things in and gone with a different router. Hopefully we're seeing what we're doing. Anyway, I'm gonna do what Nancy says, which is keep on trucking. So that's all we can do. But hopefully you will be able to see some of the designs and some of the step-by-steps. Okay, so we're going to move on to the second card. This is the first one we did. You may have seen it in a blurry fashion or not. What I can do also is take some photos of these and post them tomorrow too. So we started with that nice soft pink color combination. I'm going to move on to a bit bolder color combination. So here I'm going to be working in with some of the oranges. Now we've already seen how to layer up this large floral on here. This is the same one, of course, and this time I'm using the dies, but I wanted to show you this flower and this flower here. So let's take a look at those and work in some different colors here. All righty, so let me grab my cardstock and pop this down. And in this case, I'm going to grab some of my oranges. I'm going to do the Snapdragon, got that, Marigold, and then I'm going to go with some Ruby Red and Fresh Lemon, which I used before. So these are going to be my colors for this combination. I can move these guys out of the way. And the second flower is, of course, this one here. So again, there's kind of a circle drawn around it a little bit. You've got that base layer, the second layer, the detail, and then this little tiny innie on here. So let's begin again with our base layer. Pull this off and snug up those magnets as much as we can. And then I'm going to ink this one up with Snapdragon. Now, I'm not really an orange fan. I don't wear orange. I do love it for flowers, though, and it's just this combination with the marigold. There's a chamomile as well. They're just so beautiful for floral motifs. So you can see here, let's see, I'm going to do this one again. A little bit bolder color on there. But you can see how even just stamping one of the layers, if you wanted to do a nice background, that would be quite easy too. Okay, so there's that nice bright snapdragon flower. And then I'll move on to the second layer, which is this one right here. So this one, again, you're going to be layering it up. I generally like to work from the center of the flower, kind of angle things from there. So with that center open area in here, and then sort of twist it a little bit and make sure that you've got the edges on there all lined up. And then this one, I'm going to ink up with the marigold. So snapdragon and then marigold is a little bit darker. And yeah, these flowers, these flowers are, I'm sorry that it is blurry because it probably doesn't do justice to the beauty of this stamp set. It's really a favorite for me. Teresa, you love the orange and don't use it enough. You know what? It's kind of, I find that I'm drawn to the colors that I like to wear, and I like to wear a lot of blues and greens. And so I use a lot of blues and greens in my stamping. But you know, that pop of bright orange, it just is so cheerful and pretty. So I'm going to go with C3 for my innie. Now, the thing about C3, you'll see the way it's positioned on here and the way they had to do it to fit all of the elements on the stamp set. You've got this large piece that's kind of pointing straight up, but when you layer it, you want this to be angled over to the side just a little bit. So you don't want to pop it down like this. You do need to think about this one a little bit just to angle it around and make sure that that is in the right place. So this one, I'm going to get a little bit darker here with that ruby red. Reds and oranges are so pretty together. Yeah, I can see that Anna is saying that it is still blurry. I'm super sorry, you guys. I really don't know what else to do. I fear that it's my connection. I had a connection warning issue pop up and changed over to another, not the wireless, but the modem line, which usually does okay, but apparently is acting up. So I'm very sorry about that. So hopefully we'll still try and get a few ideas in here. But I do understand that it's frustrating when it's blurry. It's frustrating for me too. I don't like that either. Okay, so then we've got these 3 layers on here. I'm going to fill in this little innie piece with C4. And for this one, I do like to use the 2 inches by 3 inches clear acrylic block. Guess what? If it's blurry, you can't see it. But trust me, it's here. And I'm going to pop down the little innie on here. And this one, I'm just going to ink up with my fresh lemon. So this may be a little bit of a trusting game. You guys have to trust me when I say that I've got this here. And pop that down right in the center. So I've got my nice, beautiful, small flower. And then all I would need to do is just grab my cutting dies and die cut this out. And you can see here that it's going to give you a nice white, thin white border around the outside edge, which means that if you put it onto a background like the craft cardstock, it does really pop out nicely. And you can see that I've got all of the other elements die cut as well. Now there's this flower over here too, and I want to talk a little bit about this one, especially for the folks there who like to get layering tips. Well, here's a layering tip and a die cutting layering tip as well. So let's take a look at this flower, and I'll stamp this one out too. Now this flower here is this trio right here. So there's a large section, the layer that goes on top, and then there's a little tiny stem on here. But let's talk about this, and let's ink this one up, and we'll take a look And I have got a tip on this one for you too. Okay, so I'm going to start with the larger layer. So this is B1, and then we've got B2 and B3. So the layering is just, in this case, it's just 2 layers. So the larger and the smaller. And let's see, I'm going to do this one in chamomile. I'm going to start it with the chamomile, and then I'll add snapdragon as my second layer. So to kind of keep everything coordinated there. We'll scoot those over, and then we'll talk about layering and die cutting. Okay, so I'm inking this up with the chamomile. Nice pretty color there as well. Good flower colors, bright and cheerful. So there's my first layer. And then the second layer is this kind of funny looking shape here. I'll pop this one out. And I'm just going to position this one right on top. Now, again, this is kind of a funny looking one. So what you'll need to do in this case is align those 2 kind of flat edges there. So I'm going to shift this into place. And this one, I'm going to snap with the snapdragon. Stamp with the snapdragon, which is that darker color. So we had chamomile as the first layer, snapdragon as the second. And position that down. Okay, so it's looking a little more like a flower, maybe not entirely, blurry screen or not. But the next part of the process is to add in this stem on here. So this is the third portion, B3. Now here's the trick. And this trick also goes for the larger flower with a stem as well. So when you're layering this down, if you're just stamping it onto cardstock and you're going to trim that down and use it on your card, then don't worry about this. But if you want to die cut it, you do want to kind of take a minute or 2 to make sure the positioning is okay, because this will go to this side. However, when you've got your die, and I'm going to move the magnets out of the way because we know what happens with dies and magnets. If you're missing a die, by the way, look on the back of your magnetic stamping platform. So you can see before I stamp this down, if I want to die cut this, it's probably a good idea just to pop this down first and make sure that I know about where that stem is going to go, because it's very easy to have the stem be positioned just a little bit one way or the other. And then when you go to die cut it, it doesn't die cut properly. And I say this because I know it. I know it very well. So that's my little tip to you on layering or images that you would put together and then die cut, just to make sure that you're able to get that edge around there. So let's see, I'll do, maybe I'll do forest glades. No, I'll do frayed leaf with this one. Let's put those colors together. So frayed leaf is a perfect leaf color, of course. And there we go. So then there you can see, now all of a sudden it is looking a lot more like a flower. And then when you take your die and you position that down there and trim around, then you can make sure that you're actually getting that die on there as well. Sue's question is, could you die cut it first and then stamp it? You know, somebody probably could, and I'm glad you asked that question. I've tried that before, and I am rubbish at it. So when I say somebody probably could, that somebody is not me. And the reason is because if you have it already die cut and then you're trying to hold it down either with magnets or whatever, it can be very difficult to stamp on top of that small image. And let me show you, maybe this will help things make sense. So if I were, for example, to die cut, this is one of the leaves that was die cut, stamped and die cut. If I die cut this first, and it's this little shape, and then I try and aim my stamp on top of there, in my experience, I personally don't do that very well. So, you know what? I'm sure there is somebody out there who can do a beautiful job with that, and that person is not me. But good question, Sue, and thank you for asking it. I've tried it. I'm not the one to be able to do that, unfortunately. So hopefully, though, that's just a nice little heads up for you when you are die cutting some of those images with stems. So here's where I've used it. You can tell that I didn't get that stem perfectly because I put it behind another flower. So that's another way to deal with any mistakes, is to just simply hide them underneath a flower. So here I've got all three of those blossoms on there. I've got some leaves tucked around in here, just simply die cut. And those were done with frayed leaf. And this is sweet leaf. Here you can see the darker green over here too. And again, to create some nice balance. The thanks that is on here, I know you guys have seen me use these lots of times. The signature words dies, the hello, thanks, and congrats. So really simple, easy words to die cut. And that's one that I have used quite a lot in my lives and classes. So that just makes a nice little extra touch on there. Okay, so if we're still hanging in there, why don't we take a look at one more of the layering. This is the fourth flower, so it's nice at least to be able to see how to layer up this one. Now, this is a great example of one with a nice big long stem on there that you can certainly die cut this image. There's a die that goes along. In this case, I just stamped it right on here and then over stamped with some black text on here. So let's take a look at this one and we'll see how to do this. And then I'll show you a couple of examples and then I will leave your eyeballs alone. So again, my apologies for any blurriness on here. And so this is the fourth flower set that I wanted to show you. So this is D. So you've got D1, D2, D3, and D4. Now, I found with this one that if I stamped the blossoms first, it was harder for me to line up the stem or the stalk of the flower. So I started first with the stalk. So let's try that. Sometimes you can get a better result if you switch up the order of the layers that you're stamping in. So feel free to be able to do that too. So with this one, let's see, I'm going to use, let's see, Forest Glades, I think again. No, Forest Glades, not again, but anew. So grab my Forest Glades and pop this down. The other thing with acrylic stamps, especially long skinny ones, is that you can bend them. So if you want to manipulate your stem, you can, which is great to know, especially if you don't want it going a certain direction because you want to do that die cutting. Okay, so here's my stem on here. And then let's add in those flowers. So then I'll go from D3 to D1. So I'm out of order, but that's okay. And for the flowers, I'm going to use Persian Blue and Galactic Stream. And I'm using Persian Blue because, to be honest with you, I have not used Persian Blue in a very long time. And I thought, that's such a pretty color. I should really get that out and use that. So there you go. So now what I'm going to do is put the tops of the flowers on the stem. And what I want to do is angle this flower with this little stem portion, and then these two flowers over here at the top. So that's where I'm going. It's just easier for me sometimes to angle in a larger image on top of a smaller one. So here's the Persian blue. Let's get this inked up. And stamp this, and then we'll go with the dark blue on top. Okay, I'll do one more go with this one. I see a little bulb patch in there. Okay, and you know what? If you were going for a simpler looking motif, or you were maybe in a hurry, you could do something just like this and call it good. This would also be really pretty just the way it is. And if you want to add that extra layer, here's D2. And we can pop this right on top. So I'm going to angle these in place. And with this layer, I want to do the galactic stream. And this will give some more depth and dimension on here. Okay, and pop that down so you can see it's really just a pretty kind of shadow effect on there. Super simple to do. Now there's one last little piece to this floral, and that's a D4 way down here at the bottom, this little teeny weeny one. And this is just to accent the tips of the stalk or the stem. So this one I'm going to do in a darker color. That's the hunter green. And again, you may find it easier to go with a block, or you can do your stamp positioner as well. This is a little fiddly one. I think I got that. And I'll ink this one up with our hunter green, and then we'll see how this goes. Okay, so we've got that all stamped and layered really nicely and easily. And again, if you wanted to do your die cutting on there, just as you're aligning that stem, just make sure that you've got that going in the direction that you want it to. I'll show you. This is the one that I did where it was not aligned perfectly. So you can see where that issue would show up along your stem. But again, you know, if you're tucking this behind another flower, maybe it is not a big deal, but just something to keep in mind when you're doing that. Otherwise, you can easily stamp a sentiment right on top of there, and then you have a beautiful look. So I'm going to grab one of these sentiments here. Let's do hello, sweet friend, and do an over stamping effect. Again, using that obsidian black pigment ink. And pop that down there. So something like this would make a really sweet and easy card focal, or as I've got it on here, on a tag, and then just mounted that onto some different colors of cardstock and then onto a tag and added some ribbon on there. Quick and simple to do. And of course, Altenew always has those beautiful designs that make it so easy for us. Okay, so I've got two more cards that I'm going to show you. I'm not going to demonstrate them. I don't think we actually have time, but I do want to show them both to you. So where can I put this? I'll set that over here. And this is the first one. So we've already seen how to layer both of those florals. So it's the large and the small floral. I wanted to have something that was a bit more high contrast. So Remember with this one, we really had some nice soft tone on tone colors, but here you've got a little bit more contrast with that yellow. And this is fresh lemon, marigold, and then this is vineyard berry in here, that red. And then I've got the center on here with snapdragon. Now over here, I've got maple yellow and vineyard berry on there, and then stamping in the center with that obsidian black. Now my leaves are olive, so it creates a really nice warm sort of effect, but this is all one piece on here, just mounted onto the front of my card. So you can take this type of layering effect and then just expand it onto the rest of your card really easily. So I wanted to be able to show you that idea as well as one that I did with purples. Now, those of you who know me know I don't do a lot with purple colors of ink, but in this case, I thought, oh, it would look really pretty with the lavender fields, deep iris, and midnight violet. Is that it? Yeah. So that's what I've used, that color combination on here. And then I've got Parrot for my ink color. And you'll notice on here, I've also got some sequins, which I also added here. Now these are the satin white sequins, just tucked in along here to add a bit of extra dimension and texture. So I wanted you to be able to see whether you're die cutting or doing a one layer style of card, that this is just such a fantastic set for that. Easy to use, kind of one of my new favorites, I have to say. I'm just really, really excited. So it is not a brand new stamp set, but it was new to me. And I have just been having so much fun with it. Alrighty, so what I'm gonna do is turn back up my camera. We'll see how things look on the other end. Again, thanks for hanging in there with me. I do definitely appreciate this. And let me just swap up my camera. And again, super sorry for any blurriness. I do really apologize. I know that that can be so frustrating. So I'm very glad that those of you who were able to hang in did so. Hopefully you learned some things about this fantastic stamp set. I just had a great time playing with it. So again, we were using, hang on, got a stray stamp in there, the Watercolor Extravaganza, and beautiful layering stamps, nice sentiments on here, and also, of course, the coordinating dies that go along so that you can create die cut images like you see on here, as well as overall florals like this one, or a bigger scene of floral imagery here. Okay, so let me just double check these comments. I know that we've got just a minute or two before we're going to go. So you have a few more minutes if you still want to share today's live while we are live to be in for that $15 gift certificate chance at the Alta News store. Thank you so much to Roxanne for keeping us on track and helping out today. Appreciate it. I appreciate everybody who joined, and thank you so much for your patience while I did my quick scramble here. Again, I'm really sorry for the blurriness, and unfortunately my technical knowledge is limited to things like stamps. So it's a little bit tricky when there's internet issues. So apologies and thank you for your patience. Hopefully we got lots of great ideas. We'll be sure to have lots of photos of these as well. So hopefully we can get some pictures to you at least so that you can see and enjoy. So thank you very, very much for hanging out with us tonight. I do definitely appreciate your time this evening, and I wish you all a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day or rest of your evening. And take care. I will see you again next time. Bye-bye. Mhm.